Hello, everyone. Today we are bringing to you the story of Herb Baumeister. Herb is a or was a serial killer. Shot himself with a 357 Magnum once they had a warrant for his arrest. But Herb came from an affluent family in Indiana, and at an early age started really acting with some very strange behavior. Was into human urination, actually playing with dead animals and what have you, and then ultimately ended up being diagnosed with anti-social personality disorder, but then also schizophrenia and paranoid schizophrenia, which kind of brings us to the topic today. The only reason really that we were talking about Herb again was that there was a Manuel Resendez, and Manuel Resendez, his body was actually found, I believe, out on a 10 or a 15-acre farm that Baumeister had maintained there in Indiana. And there's been, I don't know, I think there are probably 12 bodies that were located out on the farm. And then they believe he's responsible for about another 10 other murders, what have you. And they were all male prostitutes. They were a lot of folks that were frequenting gay establishments. And of interest, his sexual orientation was always kind of a question because he was married and he had three children, but his wife actually reported that they maybe had sex maybe 5 or 6 times in a 25-year marriage. And truthfully, she had never even seen a man nude. So obviously there was some mental issues going on. In fact, he frequented a lot of gay bars using an alias of Brian Smart. Strangely enough, Brian Smart. In any event, we wanted to delve a little bit deeper into paranoid schizophrenia because paranoid schizophrenia is something that it's like a lot of no people we really don't recognize it as we did back in 2013. The American Psychiatric Association no longer actually uses that term. So it's just paranoia is a subset activity of schizophrenia. However, that being said, it's kind of interesting because there was a comparative study that was done many years ago, and it was talking about violent behavior and people diagnosed with schizophrenia, whether or not it be paranoid schizophrenia, other types of schizophrenia. Regardless, it found out that people that were diagnosed with schizophrenia were had lower incidence of crime, but when we talked about violent crime and intentional crime such as murder, they were about 5 times as likely, or arson 6 times as likely as the rest of the population to commit these crimes. We know that you have delusional behavior, you have specific, sometimes absolute illusions of persecution, that there are people that are trying to get you, and you're doing your best, I guess, to protect yourself. In this particular instance, I don't know what Herb necessarily was thinking at the time, but I mean, he pretty much, I think the majority of the people that he killed them by strangulation. And it seemed like he was actually actively out there seeking. So there were some other things we don't know. It's impossible to examine him at this point. Like I said, he shot himself with a 357 Magnum. But they found another body here recently of a guy that had been missing since 1998. So they found him out on the farm, and they think that he's another victim of Herb. That being said, I think that the similarities, obviously, between his story and that of somebody quite a bit more famous, Jeffrey Dahmer, are pretty striking. Even though Dahmer's story is very very much well known, and Herb's is not. But if you get a chance, you can Google Herb Baumeister, serial killer out of Indiana. Interesting story. So, you guys enjoy your weekend.